Not far from here. Suddenly a car appeared on the road. There is also a military armored vehicle across from the car. The owner of the car that came down was a man wearing clothes and a helmet. The man in red was shot and killed by the police because he couldn't freestyle. Just now, this man stopped an armored car. And then the soldier in the armored car came out to check the situation. The man took off his helmet and said that his friend in the car was wounded and needed help. But the soldier immediately raises his gun and asks, "Where did your friend get hurt?" There's a small cut on his shoulder. So your friend was bitten by a walker, right? And how did you get blood on your neck? The man hurriedly explained that. My friend just fell and hurt himself fighting with the zombies. The blood on my own neck was splashed by them. Nothing happened. Upon hearing this, the soldier became even more suspicious. He immediately asked him to do a freestyle. The man panicked, stammering and not knowing what to say. However, when the soldier saw that he didn't respond, he shot him dead. The soldier then returned to the car. The fellow soldiers asked him why he was killing people indiscriminately. But he explained, this guy is definitely not human. What normal person doesn't know how to freestyle? After saying that, the two will continue to drive away. And then the pink-haired woman who saw all this came down, took off her clothes and helmet. Then there is to rescue the muscle man they're seen. At the same time, Qingxuan, who is still stuck in school, now has a new idea. Because zombies only react to warm blood. He first microwaves the blood packet to the normal temperature of the human body. And then he injects it into a ring-shaped bag with a syringe. Qingxuan called it a zombie necklace. Then just bring it up to the necks of the walkers so that the zombies will bite the necklace when they have a thirst for blood. After 1 or 2 more bites, the zombies' desire to bite will be satisfied, and thus quieted down. But this cannot be maintained for a long time. In the meantime, the zombies will start to react to some other stimuli, such as hearing sounds and smelling things other than blood. The pupils also become somewhat reactive to light. Just when Qingxuan was wondering why there was a reaction, he subconsciously shouted the name of his friend who had the best relationship with him. What he didn't expect was for his friend to turn back. As if conscious, he looked back at Qingxuan. But it soon turned back into a zombie state. Then Qingxuan shouted at him again. He actually turned his head back again. He even seemed to have something to say. From this, Qingxuan deduces that after turning into a zombie, they did not completely lose their memories before turning into a zombie. This is just a problem with the memory-related functions. Then Qingxuan had an even better idea. He thought to himself, since humans think with their brains, when is to convert memory into language before thinking. In other words, thinking can be done through language, which also generates perception. So Qingxuan thought that the zombies would learn to talk first. As soon as they learn to talk, they'll have memories. If the memory can be restored, then the body must be able to restore. And then Qingxuan decided to start giving lessons to the zombies right now. What is it like to have a group of zombies as your students? Some of them like to sing, some of them like to dance, some like to play basketball. With the addition of the zombie necklace made by Qingxuan, after only 2.5 hours of training, all the students who had turned into zombies basically remembered what they were best at before they turned into zombies. Suddenly there was the sound of a car outside the window. Qingxuan rushed to look out the window. It was the glasses man who drove away alone before. He also accidentally saw Qingxuan through the window. It was too late to say hello to Qingxuan. The students upstairs also noticed him. The glasses man started to ask for help from his classmates upstairs, signaling them to help open the door on the first floor. But one of the male students upstairs started sarcastically, saying that he was a jerk who ran away alone. At this time, the girl on the second floor couldn't stand it anymore. She told the glasses man loudly from upstairs. The male teacher who protected everyone before is now outside. He should be back in a few minutes. Then you can ask the male teacher if he will let you in. After that, a zombie came out next to glasses man. He rushed back to the car. However, the glasses man waited in the car for almost 2 hours. He didn't even see half a shadow of the male teacher. Inadvertently, Qingxuan saw the glasses man was holding a cell phone. He had an idea at once. He hurriedly looked in his bag for his phone. Luckily, he found his cell phone. Bluetooth via cell phone. Qingxuan started trying to chat with the glasses man on his phone. He didn't expect that the glasses man's phone would actually ring. Once he saw that it was a message from Qingxuan, the glasses man couldn't help but feel astonished. And then, through the chat, both of them informed each other about the recent situation. The glasses man told Qingxuan about Bakr and about a child he had saved. At this point, the glasses man suddenly asked Qingshuan's location. However, after Qingshuan made a simple reply, the glasses man suddenly stopped talking. And then, after a few minutes, there was a sudden movement outside Qingshuan's classroom. The next second, the door actually opened. It was the glasses man who came quietly. Seeing this, Qingshuan panicked and hurriedly signaled for him to get out. But the glasses man didn't panic at all when he saw Qingshuan, and he said he was bitten himself. It was when he was dealing with the kid he saved before. His finger was accidentally bitten by a child. Later, on the way back to school, many times he suddenly lost consciousness. But because this car has a carload of weapons used against the zombies, with the last bit of consciousness, the glasses man was determined to keep going until he got back to school. But when he got to school, the students on the second floor turned him away again. Finally, in the car, until the news of Qingshuan. The glasses man felt that Qingshuan was the last hope that God had given him. So he decided to come and see Qingshuan. Seeing the glasses man say this, Qingshuan is also going to show his cards. He called the walkers he trained over. Qingshuan began to solemnly introduce the glasses man. Students, this is the new transfer student in our class. Please take care of everyone. And all of a sudden, these zombies with dull expressions started to abub. Some of them even called out the name of the glasses man. The glasses man couldn't help himself, perhaps too excited. The glasses man suddenly lost consciousness and fell down. However, by the time Qingshuan woke him up again, he had turned into a zombie. Meanwhile, after Bakr took the black soldier as a slave, he went to check out the drone footage. The drone actually captured the video of the glasses man begging for help under the school today. At once, Bakr showed a sinister look on his face. Early the next morning, a truck full of walkers crashed directly into the school fence. This is the most awesome zombie I've ever seen. He will not only learn, he also became a teacher for the zombies. Now even more with students with M4A1 to increase the experience value. Just now, suddenly a truck full of walkers crashed into the school fence. As the truck racks slowly rose up, a large wave of walkers was sent to the second floor. The lead zombie broke the window directly. The students' scalps instantly exploded and they were scared and fled everywhere. In a matter of seconds, a truckload of walkers all poured into the building. The students who were slow to run were caught directly. Several students began to be forced to run from the second floor to the first floor. But the first floor was also full of zombies. The two female students at the front were paralyzed with fear. They didn't know these are actually Qingshuan trained zombies. With a command from Qingshuan, all the walkers behind him started to load their weapons. And when the walkers got a little closer, Qingshuan with the trained walkers shooting directly at them, the zombies were instantly beaten to death. This wave of attacking zombies was successfully wiped out. But soon the next wave of zombies all crowded the doorway again. Qingshuan then remembered that although they had been taught to shoot with guns, but they weren't taught to change bullets. And then he hurriedly signaled for the students that he had just saved to go down the aisle. They were told to hide in a nearby classroom. Soon the crowd panicked and ran in. Immediately afterwards, Qingshuan closed the door. And then he took out an open blood packet from his waist. The smell of blood instantly attracted all the walkers around. Then Qingshuan took the blood bag and ran towards the outside of the school. And then the zombies chased him all the way to the road. Qingshuan rushed to build up power in his hands, throwing the blood pack straight out. Immediately afterwards, the zombies behind them all rushed forward like mad dogs. After finishing the zombies, Qingshuan was ready to go back. But just as he was about to leave, a zombie suddenly came up behind him. He actually walked straight towards Qingshuan. He thought he was already a zombie. This zombie shouldn't be interested in him. But he didn't expect. But the zombie grabbed Qingshuan's neck directly. Then he pinned Qingshuan underneath him. And then he started to increase the strength in his hands. Even the expressions started to become distorted. Qingshuan, who was about to choke, had to take a shot. He used all his strength to remove the zombie's hand. But the zombie took the opportunity to build up its strength. He punched Qingshuan in the face. Qingshuan was sent flying backwards several meters. And that's not all. Qingshuan just sat up. And he started coming at Qingshuan. But Qingshuan was able to dodge it with a dodge. He hit the truck head-on. Seeing the walker knock himself unconscious, Qingshuan now has to hurry back. The necklaces must be replaced for the trained walkers. Otherwise the trained walkers will lose consciousness. But he hadn't taken 2 steps before the zombie just grabbed his ankle. Then Qingshuan was taken down by him again. But not so lucky this time. Qingshuan was smashed directly into the truck like a toy. Qingshuan was instantly knocked unconscious. And that's when the zombie noticed some students who had just escaped to the first floor. And then he began to dart up towards the building, then jump hard. The glass on the window was directly smashed by him, immediately after landing on the ground and falling hard. But it didn't affect him in any way. And he continued to hiss hideously, and then he dropped his gaze on the classmate next to him. But he's a zombie after all. After a few tosses in place and then an accidental fall. Unfortunately, the zombies trained by Qingshuan were getting out of control. One of the zombies started to frantically knock on the glass of the window. At the same time, the fat zombie stood up again. And then suddenly a hand knocked on the glass. The sound just attracted the fat zombie. So it was the glasses man who became a zombie. The fat zombie who heard the voice instantly went berserk. The glasses man here also put his gun up on the glass. And just like that, the fat zombie stupidly ran into the muzzle of the gun. The glasses man shot him directly from zero range, although the fat zombie was successfully taken out. But the necklaces around the necks of the zombies outside the door had lost their effect. But that's when our Lienya showed up. She finally does something. She saw a hole where Glasses Man had just set up a gun. And just through this hole, all the walkers around the room smelled the students in the classroom. Lienya hurriedly turned around and blocked the hole with her head. With the smell blocked, and the walkers calmed down. Meanwhile, Qingshuan woke up. He didn't have time to think about anything else and he immediately ran back to the first floor. Through the window that the fat zombie had just broken, Qingshuan enters the classroom. He came in with his hands up to show everyone that he was not aggressive. But one of the men said, "Don't be ridiculous. You're wearing a turban on your face because you can't help but attack us. If you take the hood off, you would have attacked us just the same, wouldn't you?" After that, several students were scared and ran around again. Seeing this, Qingshuan did not explain much, just walked out of the classroom in silence. Came out and saw the glasses man with the gun. Lienya blocked in front of the window. Qingshuan instantly understood. Then he started to change the necklaces for the walkers, but there was only one last blood bag left. After all the necklaces were changed for the zombies. Just to be safe, Qingshuan decided to take the students back to the second floor first. Qingshuan also took the lead and walked in the front. And so it took the crowd all the way back to the second floor. But then after sending them to the classroom on the second floor, Qingshuan wanted to explain again. He said that now he was non-aggressive. But these inhumane guys didn't believe it, still accusing him, saying that Qingshuan could turn into a man-eating monster at any moment. And they also said that no matter how much Qingshuan helps them, they will not accept Qingshuan. And finally, with a clang, Qingshuan was again turned away by everyone. After that, because the blood pack had run out, now Qingshuan was ready to go out and find some more. But he hasn't gone very far. Suddenly a stick came from behind him and smashed Qingshuan's hood right off. Because the other guy is a normal human being, Qingshuan, who smelled a human, instantly went into a berserk state. Qingshuan covered his mouth and nose with his hands in time. But in the eyes of the human, Qingshuan was just a biting zombie. And then he swung his club at Qingshuan again. But Qingshuan didn't want to hurt him. He then jumped towards the wall. With the help of the wall, he once again launched himself on his feet. Qingshuan didn't expect to be so physically fit after turning into a zombie. He jumped past the human. But he didn't expect there were two human survivors ahead. And then Qingshuan landed from the air. But the hand moved away from the mouth and nose. Those two survivors are now preparing to enter the rescue armored vehicle. Because the mouth and nose were uncovered, Qingshuan is now completely out of control. Both survivors screamed in horror at the sight. The soldiers in the armored car then also fired at Qingshuan, but Qingshuan dodged in time. The two survivors then entered the armored car and hurriedly signaled for the soldiers to close the door. But the people who were with them, the people who just attacked Qingshuan, are not on board yet. The man in the car signaled for him to run faster, but just as he was about to get on the bus, Qingshuan came up behind her, and then he grabbed her. He opened his mouth wide and was ready to bite her. But just as he was about to bite her, Qingshuan began to restrain herself. Although Qingshuan could feel every cell in his body wanting to bite her, but in the end, he held back. He only bit into the woman's clothes. Her dress was instantly ripped off in a big way. But the soldier thought the woman had been bitten, shooting directly at the two men. Seeing this, Qingshuan rushed to pull her away, and then quickly took her behind a car. And then the soldier fired a few more shots at the car, and then the soldier who was with him also poked his head out. signaling that he should hurry and not waste his bullets. After the soldiers had driven the car away, Qingxuan immediately turned around and asked about this human, but she didn't wait for Qingxuan to respond, and swung the bat at him again. After dodging the attack, Qingxuan said loudly, "Calm down, I'm not going to hurt you." Upon hearing this, she was startled. She asked Qingxuan if you was a zombie or not. "Why can you still talk?" Qingxuan rushed to explain. He said he didn't completely lose the desire to bite, but he was able to hold back for a while. Then he asked her to help him find something to cover his mouth and nose. But just then, a zombie suddenly rushed towards the human. Seeing this, Qingxuan immediately jumped over, and then turned her head and told her to hide in the next building. To stay alive, she had to first follow Qingxuan's advice and hide in the building next to her. Qingxuan, after finishing the zombies, subconsciously turned her head to look inside the building. The man saw Qingxuan beating up the zombie to save himself. She took the initiative to take off the face shield, and asked Qingxuan, "Can this mask be used to cover the mouth and nose?" Qingxuan hurriedly took it and tried it. After putting it on, Qingxuan found he can't believe he can't smell the outside at all. The woman then confirmed with Qingxuan again. Asked Qingxuan, "Do you not bite as long as you can't smell?" With Qingxuan once again firmly confirming that he doesn't bite, the woman opens the door. Then Qingxuan went inside the door. The woman took him to the roof of the building, because seeing Qingxuan as a sentient zombie, this reminds women of Bakr. The woman was originally a church worker. She had witnessed the whole zombie outbreak, and it was Bakr that was the matrix for the viral outbreak. And with that, the woman pointed to a church next to her, indicating that that's where the first outbreak took place. Then the woman went on to say, at the beginning of the outbreak of the zombie virus, the virus is an infection through the respiratory organs. That's why I always wear a mask. But the real origin of the outbreak of the zombie virus has to come from the mouths of Bakr's followers. In order to protect Bakr, the black soldier who killed his own brother still hasn't come out of the shadow of that incident. When he was depressed, a faithful follower of Bakr approached. He began to tell the story of Bakr to the black soldier. They honored Bakr as the son of heaven. This man was in a coma in his hospital bed for 15 years. Finally woke up today. The attending doctors thought he had faked his death when they saw him, because he was paralyzed before he fell into a coma. Even his brain was completely taken over by cancer cells. It's like a vegetable. But now he wakes up and the doctors tell him, as his body functions recovered, the cancer cells in his body recovered together. Instead, his body now became even worse. And then the huge medical bills owed for the 15 years of coma. He was mercilessly thrown out of the hospital. The man who had been abandoned by his parents since he was a child was confused. Now he doesn't even have a place to live. He wondered why he had woken up at such a time. Is it an act of divine providence? Did God reborn myself in order for me to change the world? Looking at the church down the road, he began to imagine that he must have been reborn to save mankind. He was the savior of mankind, the Son of Heaven. Then he faltered and entered the church. At this point, the priest was speaking from the stage. But he started coughing off stage. As the priest's speech became more and more intense, and his coughing became more and more intense, and the harsh coughing resonated throughout the church. Seeing this, the people around the church looked at him with disgust. But he was still coughing, until he coughed up blood. The people around him became frantic when he coughed up blood. They began to bite at the people next to them who did not spill blood. And then the people who were bitten came back to life. In an instant, all the believers in the church turned into zombies. But in the eyes of the men, they were not zombies. He thinks they're all reborn. It was he who gave the holy water to the desperate people and raised the dead to eternal life. Then he walked out of the church. And so he set out on his own imaginary path to salvation. But as the zombies became more and more numerous, the military also deployed force to suppress, and when the gun was aimed at the man, he didn't panic at all, because in his mind he thought that the people he had given his power to would save him. And the ignorant soldiers will be led to the path of resurrection. Since then he has gone completely crazy. When he encounters normal human hiding in a glass door, he smiles a weird smile. Then he picked up a rock on the ground and smashed it directly into the glass door. And the zombies around them smell the humans and swarm around them. Watching people being saved one by one, he felt so happy. Later he was called Bakr by his own followers. However, the believers had even more absurd ideas than he did. Like Bakr, they treat people who turn into zombies as if they were redeemed. Although the physical body is here, their souls will be in heaven. For them, Their mission is to help Bakr save the souls of those who have not yet reached heaven. After brainwashing, the black soldier fell in completely, and that's when Bakr suddenly and angrily pushed out the door. Immediately, he ordered his men, release those specially trained zombies to follow him to capture the school. As the doors of the container slowly opened, several familiar faces appeared. The green-haired man and the purple man from before are here. But this is also the first time Bakr got angry, because a few days before, Bakr had released a truckload of walkers to attack the school. But just now, Bakr removed the memory card from the drone used to monitor the school. He was ready to admire his masterpiece. In the beginning of the video, the zombies keep pouring into the building from the truck as planned. This made Bakr very excited. Watching the students run around, Bakr was even happier. But then the screen showed there was gunfire on the second floor of the school, and the zombies followed Qingshuan out of the school. And then Qingshuan lured the walkers away. Bakr was instantly filled with anger and decided to tear Qingshuan apart right away. The zombie drug is the same as letting the pervert touch the beautiful girl, although the attack power has been significantly increased, but would completely lose his mind. Not only will it attack humans, even zombies of their own kind will attack. The drug zombies were called angry ones by Bakr's doctors, because he was the first to find this. He did an experiment when he was working in a hospital, injecting blood with a virus into a normal person, and when that person turns into a zombie, although the desire to bite will be lost, but will be hostile to everything that moves. The fat zombie that beat up Qingshuan earlier is an angry one. Now Bakr decided to take care of all the survivors in the school, but there were still Qingshuan-trained walkers in the school to protect the survivors. And Bakr-trained zombies don't attack zombies. So by the advice of the doctor, Bakr decided to let the doctor dose only 2 walkers first. Among them was the green-haired man who had been kicked into the corpse by his best buddy earlier. As the potion was slowly injected, his eyes began to turn red, and his strength grew. He struggled and punched the iron gate that bound him. The iron door was instantly smashed into a large crater. The poor green-haired man had become a complete tool of Bakr. Meanwhile, the pink-haired woman rescued the muscular man and the 2 students and then found something good in the shelter. There are protective suits that are designed to mask the smell of the body, and after they had changed into their suits, Ri found another car outside. After some discussion, they decided to go back to school first, but the school wasn't doing so well right now because the male teacher who had been protecting everyone was attacked by walkers while he was out alone looking for supplies earlier. After being saved by the pink-haired girl and the surviving students, he was going to take the student back to school with him, but when he got to the school gate he found the zombies were besieging the school, so he just turned around and left. But luckily they met a rescue armored car on the way. But after the rescuers determined that they were not infected, they were taken to a temporary shelter. But although this appears to be a 5-star hotel, it's actually not much different from a prisoner shelter. Even the door to the room had to be opened 24 hours a day. There is a shortage of beds to the point of overcrowding. Now our camera is going to give a few idiots who are still alive in the school. Through the window, they see a few walkers running. It was the walkers that Qingshuan had trained in gym class. Since Qingshuan went out looking for the blood pack, the glasses man became a substitute teacher who continued to give them training. Not only did he teach them to change bullets, they were taught to aim and to shoot accurately. And a few people upstairs saw that and thought they were surrounded by zombies. Just then, a student with binoculars found a white car coming from outside. It was the muscle man's group that was sitting in the car. Then several people got out of the car and came to the front door, but they didn't speak yet, and a schoolgirl upstairs got bitchy. She said the male teacher who was protecting everyone before wouldn't let anyone open the door. To prove it was one of their own, muscle boy specializing in taking off headgear. But even after checking with her, the girl still said in a bitchy way, to keep the male teacher's promise, and to say that they would not open the door for them. Muscle man is torn whether to break in. Suddenly a sound of a bus came. Looking through the perspective of the student who just took the binoculars, a bus full of zombies was coming towards the school at a great speed, and on the roof and windows of the bus were tied the 2 angry ones. And then the bus rushed into the school. It hit the bus driven by the opening Bakr hard before stopping. 2 angry one walkers were then jolted down. The uniformed angry one landed in front of the muscle man and his group, and the green-haired man was sent flying into the school building. This is the first time Glasses Man has traded his body for food, but before he could even taste half of it, the 2 schoolyard bullies stole it from him. The green-haired man was eating and strangling Glasses Man at the same time. The bread is almost 2.5 years old, right? And called him a lousy ass. When he was human, Glasses Man suffered humiliation. Now they meet again after both of them have become zombies. Without any hesitation, Glasses Man raises his gun directly, then aim at the green-haired man's head is to shoot. But the green-haired man is now drugged. Attack power and speed have been greatly increased. He dodged all the bullets with one arrow step. Immediately afterwards, Glasses Man called out to his zombie teammates. The green-haired man was instantly surrounded. Two of the nerdy teammates were grabbed by the green-haired man's head before they could fire. Then the green-haired man slammed their heads directly into the wall. Then he turned his head to look at the other zombies who were still frozen in place. No extra action. The green-haired man popped up instantly and lunged at them, all the way to push all the zombies around him away. Maybe because of the habit of bullying Glasses Man before he was born. Now he only has eyes for Glasses Man, who is standing at the end and secretly shooting. The green-haired man starts to accelerate in place. A jump towards Glasses Man. But just in time to be shot by Glasses Man. The green-haired man was shot down in the air. However, he just landed and immediately stood up again. Instead of getting hurt, he became more excited, and with a hiss, he was ready to attack Glasses Man again. Meanwhile, the situation outside with the Muscle Man and his group was not good either. Another angry man in a military uniform soon became conscious. He slowly stood up. Then he stared dead at Miss Shin and the Muscle Man. Seeing this, Miss Shin hurriedly raised her gun, signaling for the Muscle Man to step back. The zombie was flying towards Miss Shin. The panicked Miss Shin accidentally shot him in the helmet. The next second she was pinned down by the zombie. And then he raised his right hand to smash Miss Shin. In the nick of time, the Muscle Man blocked the blow, but he was immediately thrown off again. But he managed to attract him. He started to attack the Muscle Man. But the Muscle Man was no match for this guy. He was beaten up like a basketball, and finally he was rubbed on the ground again. So that Miss Shin, who was holding a gun, didn't dare to fight. With the Muscle Man and the zombie struggling in place for a few seconds after, Miss Shin finally shot. However, since the zombie was wearing a bulletproof vest, he took a bullet and nothing happened to him. He threw the Muscle Man hard to the ground. Then he raises his thick arms. Just as it was about to fall, Miss Shin shot him again. The gunshot interrupted the zombie's attack. He turned his head and went towards Miss Shin, but Miss Shin had already pointed her gun at him, and then Miss Shin shot him again. But it didn't hit the head. However, before Miss Shin could fire a second shot, the zombie grabbed the muzzle of the gun. The next second, the barrel of the gun was crushed with one hand. Immediately after, her helmet was grabbed by zombie. Then the helmet was not surprisingly taken away by his fist. And that's not all. He raised his hands again and prepared to deliver a fatal blow to Miss Shin. With a few sustained blows, Miss Shin's helmet had been smashed beyond recognition by the zombie. And then a terrible scene happened. The zombie actually took off Miss Shin's helmet. Miss Shin was scared to death and backed up, but it was too late. The zombie had already pounced. But just then, suddenly several bullets were fired at him. The zombie was hit by the bullets and fell to the side, following Miss Shin's gaze. The one who fired the gun was one of the walkers that Jingshuan had trained before. Miss Shin is numb. She couldn't believe she was saved by a zombie who could use a gun. Too late to marvel. At that moment the green-haired man suddenly flashed up behind him. Miss Shin wanted to warn him, but it was too late. He was elbowed out the window by the green-haired man. And then he fell hard to the ground. Seeing this, Miss Shin rushed to. He picked up the gun from the ground. Looking through the window, the green-haired man is surrounded by several walkers with guns. But even though the walkers were shooting at him, but it felt like it was half a beat behind. The bullets were all dodged by the green-haired man. And then Miss Shin fired a few more shots at him. But because it was Miss Shin's first time using the M4A1, not holding down the gun, the bullet hit the door next to the green-haired man, facing Glasses Man and several walkers. Green-haired man finally can't take it anymore. He took the opportunity to get out of the door, then quickly ran up the hallway wildly. Follow the scent from the few surviving students on the second floor. He started running upstairs. The safe passage used to keep out the first floor walkers was broken by the green-haired man in 2 or 3 hits. Students were very scared after hearing the commotion, hastily pile up the tables and chairs at the door to block the door. But the next second the green-haired man reached in with one hand. At the same time, Miss Shin's side is moving again. The bus that just crashed into the school suddenly swayed. At that moment there was a Bakr devotee sitting inside the bus. He kissed the cross pendant around his neck. and then walked straight to the carriage behind him. The back half of the car was holding a bunch of walkers. The zombies became frantic when they smelled his scent. The believer were actually laughing when he saw this. The eerie expression is chilling. And then he unlocked the iron door. The zombies came out in an instant. He let himself be eaten by the zombies, although turned into a zombie. But it was a glorious relief for him, because the god he believed in was also a zombie. And soon the zombies were pouring out of the bus, and headed straight for the few people outside the building. Miss Shin saw this and hurriedly raised her gun and shot at the corpses. But there were too many zombies. One gun can't hold up. And that's when the glasses man on the first floor signaled them to go inside the building and take cover. To stay alive, both Miss Shin and the muscle man rushed in through the window. Then Glasses Man started calling the zombie teammates next to him. Let them attack together towards the zombie swarm outside the window. Finally, under the command of Glasses Man, holding on for a little while, to cover up the human scent of the muscle man and Miss Shin, Glasses Man gestures to the two of them to hide in the infirmary. The two men didn't dare hesitate for half a second. Immediately, they ran all the way to the infirmary, with the muscle man closing the door behind him. After their scent was blocked, the zombies outside gradually regained their composure. But the two students who had come with them to the school to take refuge were out of luck. They were surrounded by zombies. The two men stood still and didn't dare to move. The boy hugged the girl so that she wouldn't be afraid. They didn't know that angry one that had been knocked down suddenly moved. His eyes snapped open. The boy is still talking to the girl in love. The next second the girl's head was punched straight out of place. The fist is exactly the one of the zombie just now. After seeing this, the zombies with guns on the first floor shot at him again. The gunfire attracted the zombie. While the zombies in the building were changing bullets, he went straight towards the first floor window. However, as he was about to cross the window, the boy from earlier lunged at him. The anger of losing his girlfriend made him grab the head of the zombie. But before he could attack, and then the zombie punched him in the head with his backhand. And that's not all. Another punch, two more punches. After a few punches, the boy's face was dented. At that moment, a zombie next to him smelled blood and pounced on him. The boy endured the pain of the bite. With his last bit of strength, he unlocked the zombie's helmet, and then died with honor. Also at this point, the walkers on the first floor had already changed their bullets, and started shooting directly at the zombie's head. After one shot, the zombie was finally killed. Meanwhile, the students on the second floor were even worse off. Although several tables and chairs were blocked at the door, but the door was broken open by the green-haired man's continued attack. Less than 3 seconds after entering, one unlucky man was thrown through the window by the green-haired man. After the window broke, the zombies downstairs smelled the students on the second floor through the window. They instantly went berserk. They rushed straight through the school building. In an instant, a human ladder was formed from the ground to the second floor. The zombies began to pour into the second floor in a steady stream. When the zombies broke into the school, the usual arrogant school bully now only cries. Instead, Glasses Man, who has suffered from bullying, raised his gun at this moment and rushed to the forefront. He gestured for the bully who was still in the classroom to get behind him. See, the zombie is about to pounce on the face. The school bully and the two girls rushed out. Glasses Man took the lead and started shooting at the zombies. After one shot, the wave of zombies was successfully wiped out. But it wasn't over yet. The green-haired man who has been on the second floor has not been solved yet. Even Chengshuan's trained zombies are no match for him. A punchdown, he was blown up by the green-haired man. After finishing off Glasses Man's teammates again, he jumped on Glasses Man. He pinned Glasses Man to the ground. And then he punched Glasses Man directly. And then he squeezed Glasses Man's head in a death grip. And just as he was about to rip Glasses Man's head off, a woman's voice interrupted him. It's Miss Shin for backup. The green-haired man popped up immediately. He roared and rushed towards Miss Shin. But Miss Shin had already set up her gun. This time there was no deviation at all. Although Miss Shin only shot one shot. But the shot hit the green-haired man right in the eyebrow. The green-haired man was shot straight down from the air. Too late to make up the shot. More and more walkers are coming up from the second floor window. Glasses Man hurriedly asked everyone to go to the roof of the school building. It's a good thing that the last few surviving students survived. After Glasses Man closed the door to the rooftop, the school bully actually kneeled down for him, saying thank you in tears. Meanwhile, our hero Chengshuan has now also managed to get his new equipment. The green-haired woman he saved by accident earlier took Qingshuan to her stronghold and gave Qingshuan a leather jacket. After learning that Qingshuan could control his aggression through the smell of blood, the green-haired woman brought Qingshuan another breathing mask. After Qingshuan put it on, she cut her hand, put a few drops of blood on a sponge. Then the sponge was attached to the breathing mask. That's it. Not only does Qingshuan maintain his superb bodily functions at all times in his berserk state, while the human consciousness will always remain. After upgrading the equipment, the green-haired woman decided to join Qingshuan in the search for supplies. They went to the hospital first. After getting the blood packets at the hospital, the green-haired woman helped Qingshuan replace the interface with a blood packet. Continuity has been greatly improved. Afterwards, Qingshuan, based on the information that Glasses Man gave himself on the phone before, he and the green-haired woman found their way to Bakker's stronghold. Qingshuan is now ready to find the woman who was in the cage with Glasses Man while he was in Bakker's custody. Because the woman was the director of the Center for Disease Control and a doctor. To get to the bottom of this whole zombie virus thing, Qingshuan has to find her. But coincidentally they soon found the female doctor. And then Qingshuan took out a blood packet. Then he asked the green-haired woman to take out the mask she carried with her. Qingshuan is seen dripping blood on the mask. And then put the mask on the female doctor. At that moment the female doctor became manic. A few seconds later, as the female doctor's desire to bite ended, her vision begins to clear. Yet by the time she could see completely, Bakker actually appeared behind Qingshuan and the green-haired woman. He recognized Qingshuan right away. He said that Qingshuan was the demon that prevented him from saving the world. Then Bakker told the two about his crazy plan to save all of humanity. He thought these two would be brainwashed by him too, but in return, the green-haired woman gave him a head injury. This is the first time Bakker has been hit hard by a human. He could never have imagined. He should be immune to all physical attacks, but he is also injured. However, before he could react, he got another beating from the green-haired girl. But the beaten Booker still thinks he's the savior of the world. At this point, the regained consciousness female doctor couldn't stand it anymore. She said that Booker was just an early-onset patient. It's a variant at best. Because according to the information that the female doctor learned while working at the CDC, she said that the earliest pathways for the virus to develop were from all over the world. In the early stages of the disease, some of the most severely ill patients developed specific mutations, probably because the radiation therapy and the drugs that those patients received had components that caused the mutations. But almost all of those patients died in the end. But there were still patients who were not reported. So you're not a fucking savior. You're just one of those mutants. Bakker, after hearing this, is still retorting. He said the female doctor was talking nonsense. He must be the savior. Then Bakker's expression sank down. He suddenly raises his left hand. Several bullets were instantly fired at Qingshuan and his men. But Qingshuan reacted in time. Take two people to hide behind the container. And it was the black soldier who fired the shot before. The angry Bakker immediately instructed him to kill all three of them. But now, with the new equipment, Qingshuan's body function has been greatly enhanced. Even the bullets couldn't keep up with him. Qingshuan started to accelerate on the tin fence. Then a big jump, followed by a crow and a plane move. And then he kicked the black soldier. After the black soldier was knocked down, Qingshuan rushed to pick up his gun, and then he bent the gun with his knee. After finishing the black soldier, Qingshuan jumped from the high platform. Seeing this, Bakker is also ready to show his last card. He wrenched the handle of the container behind him. And then he pulled the door open. A box of Bakker-trained enhanced walkers appeared. Facing a wave of enhanced walkers, Qingshuan was completely panicked this time. One or two were manageable, but the number was just too many. All they can do now is run away. Qingshuan shouted to the doctor and the green-haired woman while running, signaling for them to flee to the school. It's a good thing that the green-haired woman and the doctor soon found a pickup truck. Not daring to hesitate for half a second, the green-haired woman immediately started the car. Qingshuan also happened to come running at that moment. He jumped onto the car with a big jump. As the car started, the distance between the car and the zombies was gradually being reduced. But the enhanced zombies were like cockroaches, always in pursuit of the car. Some of them even pounced directly, right then and there. Next to another white car came. The passenger seat was occupied by the black soldier. He raised his gun and shot at Qingshuan without saying a word. And so they began a chase. But the black soldier had guns. And Qingshuan with his bare hands can only passively dodge bullets. with the green-haired woman slamming on the gas. The car pulled away temporarily, starting to move into the inner city, but the zombies kept chasing the car. Some of the walkers just started crashing into the car, and some jumped on the car. The trained reinforced zombies have a lot of explosive power in their limbs. Soon another zombie took the opportunity to pounce on the rear of the car. The zombie climbed into the car and charged directly toward Qingshuan. Although the zombie was kicked away by Qingshuan, but his left foot was grabbed by a walker next to him. Meanwhile, the first zombie that jumped on the rear of the car also climbed onto the car, facing a front and back attack. Qingshuan didn't have time to react before he was hit in the head with a punch. He then fell out of the car and hit his head on the ground again, waiting for Qingshuan to come back to his senses. All the zombies behind him rushed over at this point. Without caring about the severe pain in his head, Qingshuan immediately ran. Green-haired woman sees Qingshuan being shot down, subconsciously started to slow down, but Qingshuan signaled that she didn't have to slow down. Keep the gas on. After saying that, Qingshuan started to power up the bottom of his feet. Just saw him start running 90 degrees down the street on a roll-up door, and then smoothly stepped on the shoulder of a passing walker, and then lend a hand on her shoulder, a big jump and fly up, followed by a difficult split to kick the two zombies away from the car, and then landed in style. But now is not the time to flex. Qingshuan hurriedly signaled for the green-haired woman to drive faster, but just accelerated less than 3 seconds. The black soldier from earlier came after us from the trail. Qingshuan and the green-haired woman were too late to react. The black soldier raised his gun and shot straight through. Several consecutive shots hit the window. The green-haired woman was hit in the shoulder. The pickup truck was also hit by the black soldier's car. The car was knocked backwards several meters. The injured green-haired woman's arm is now too sore to drive. The pickup truck was thus forced to stop in the middle of the road, and the smell of blood happened to be picked up by all the walkers around, except for the enhanced zombies. Now all the zombies on the road are also starting to pounce on the pickup truck. The black soldiers who had changed their bullets also started to continue their output on the side. No way. Qingshuan could only hurry and urge the green-haired woman to drive, because if they don't hurry up and leave, it is estimated that the next will be chewed. Even the dregs are not left. At this point, Qingshuan's group is surrounded by a large group of zombies, as the green-haired woman driving the car was accidentally shot by the black soldiers. The smell of blood drew all the regular walkers around. Just as the three were about to be swallowed up by the horde of corpses, the green-haired woman uses her last bit of strength to push the gears. The car was started again, but the wounded green-haired woman could not even drive the car now, almost hit a bus on the side of the road. However, the car hadn't gotten very far. The black soldiers followed again, immediately fired a few more shots into the car window. To get rid of the black soldiers, the green-haired woman drove the car into the alley by the side of the road. Seeing this, the black soldier rushed to stop. He fired several shots at Qingshuan, but the car quickly closed the distance. Black soldiers did not come after us for the time being, but the blood on the green-haired woman's arm is flowing more and more. The smell of blood wafted through the crowded alley. It instantly attracted the walkers in the buildings on both sides, and all of a sudden, countless hands were reaching for the car. The scene was horrible. Some of the zombies even jumped right out of the building. The good thing is that they were all taken care of by Qingshuan. However, once the car was out of the alley, the black soldier came after him again, and then he fired a few more shots at Qingshuan. Qingshuan rushed to block the bullets with a zombie that had just jumped on the car. Then the black soldier suddenly drove the car to another street. And that's when the green-haired woman was in too much of a hurry. Didn't notice a stone pier at the intersection. Too late to brake. The car crashed hard directly into a stone cairn. Qingshuan was knocked directly out of the car. The green-haired woman was also knocked unconscious. Meanwhile, the black soldiers also came around from another street. Seeing Qingshuan frozen in place, the black soldier immediately ordered the driver to step on the gas and hit him. Facing the speeding car, Qingshuan not panicking at all. Just as the car was about to hit Qingshuan suddenly took a big jump and jumped up. The driver was too late to brake and also hit the stone pier. The black soldier was knocked out directly from the passenger side. He landed unconscious and collapsed to the ground. And when Qingshuan's side landed, he rushed back to check on the green-haired woman. As a result of the impact just now, the doctor's mask was lost in the collision. The doctor, now in a manic state, is about to bite the green-haired woman. Seeing this, Qingshuan immediately took off his mask and put it on the doctor. With the mask on, the doctor gradually regained his composure. But then the black soldier stood up again. He came back to his senses and raised his pistol again. He started to tremble and walk in the direction of the men, and habitually watched from the sidelines for a few seconds. However, when he confirmed that Qingshuan was not there, when he was about to go to the car window and shoot the green-haired woman, but there was no one in the car, because Qingshuan is in the sky right now. When the black soldiers reacted, it was too late to shoot at Qingshuan. In the panic, the bullet only hit Qingshuan's ear. Qingshuan then just fell on the black soldier. Without any hesitation, Qingshuan took a bite out of the black soldier. With a scream from the black soldier, he fell to the ground completely unconscious. At this point, the green-haired woman and the doctor also came out of the rubble on one side.